Colorado Congressman Jared Polis today introduced historic legislation in Washington, D.C. If passed, it would get rid of the federal law.
This is the first time that Congress is considering regulating marijuana like alcohol.
But what we think will be the real driver in Congress is the fact that states like Colorado and Washington have now made marijuana legal on the state level and are setting up their own systems of regulation and taxation.
The writing's on the wall, and we're going to be seeing an end to federal marijuana prohibition in the near future.
Is pot safer than alcohol? Well, that's what some marijuana advocates say. And they've put this billboard up in downtown Portland to start the discussions.
If we trust people to make responsible consumption choices about alcohol, which we know is a dangerous substance, then we should be able to trust people to make responsible decisions about a substance that is demonstrably safer.
If you've ever wondered what it would look like to live in a world where marijuana was legal and regulated, well, in Colorado, that day has arrived.
Right after the law passed in November, adults were allowed to use marijuana and grow their own at home. So what we've learned from Colorado is that the moon did not fall from the sky on adult use and adult cultivation.
Even those who opposed Amendment 64 were celebrating Tuesday as the new laws to implement and tax legal recreational marijuana in Colorado became law.
They're going to provide clarity for businesses, increase transparency, make sure that we improve public safety, in every way create common sense regulations.
With the signature of Governor Peter Shumlin,
it's law. Thank you.
Vermont will decriminalize possessing an ounce or less of marijuana.
Starting today, people in Vermont are not criminals for possessing less than an ounce of marijuana.
Some news out of New Hampshire. Governor Maggie Hassan signed a bill today making it the 19th state and the final one in New England to legalize medical marijuana.
Illinois is now the 20th state to legalize medical marijuana. Governor Pat Quinn signed the legislation at the University of Chicago.
Some months ago, I visited in my office in Springfield with a veteran that you'll hear from today about the importance of this particular bill today, medical marijuana that will heal and help many, many people deal with pain.
A first-of-its-kind advertisement started running outside the Indianapolis Motor Speedway today.
You know, the ad had the power to potentially reach hundreds of thousands of NASCAR fans over the course of the weekend. The first time a pro-marijuana legalization ad would have appeared so close to an entrance gate of a major sporting event. It was created by the Marijuana Policy Project. It is a group that advocates legalizing pot.
The Justice Department said Thursday it will not challenge state laws legalizing the recreational use of marijuana by adults.
This is a historic development in our nation's marijuana policy.
I think everyone here in Washington, D.C. knows that marijuana prohibition's days are numbered. The policy memo that we saw from the Department of Justice last week was a clear white flag in the federal government's 40-year war on marijuana.
A new billboard getting a lot of attention at Sign Your Sports Authority Field, urging the NFL to stop penalizing players for smoking pot.
For the first time ever, a solid majority of Americans now believe marijuana should be legal. 58% in the latest Gallup poll say it should be legalized. That's up a full 10 points since just last year.
Well, I think it's clear that most Americans are just fed up with marijuana prohibition.
We begin with question 1 on the Portland ballot, which calls for the legalization of marijuana in the city. That question has passed. You can see the results right there on your screen.
Now, more than ever, it's time for the state of Maine to follow Portland and treat marijuana like alcohol.
Who went to the polls yesterday decided some pretty important issues, and now Jackson and Lansing have joined a growing list of Michigan cities who've approved a marijuana decriminalization ordinance.
Prop AA, the tax on recreational pot, it passed by a wide margin. 65% of voters supported imposing a 15% excise tax and 10% sales tax on retail marijuana.
This is essentially the second part of Amendment 64, which legalized recreational marijuana in Colorado. This is going to give the people of the state capital the money they need to regulate the new industry.
Voters in Colorado and Washington and elsewhere across this country are tired of the public policy disaster that is marijuana prohibition.
We change laws by changing the way people think about marijuana, and it's time for our society to start recognizing the fact that laws are changing.
All of these efforts start as losing efforts, and then they eventually win.
The ship has sailed in terms of marijuana legalization. You know, like it or not, I think history will point to this particular period in history as the time it shifted.